Do, 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 do. Hi, chicken. I think it might just be you and me today because I don't have anyone else in the waiting room, but we miss you all in the replay. We get to have a
Hello.
session until if anyone else comes on.
Awesome. I know I haven't been here for a while, so I'm excited to be here today.
Hey, how have you been? You got a nice little one-on-one.
Super, super busy, but I finally got a full-time job offer. So going back to corporate, hopefully Monday, if all my background clearances are approved. And I am in the process of time blocking so I can still try to build my part-time businesses.
I
So I'm
love that.
excited.
I love it. I mean, honestly, it just creates that sense of safety where it's just like, okay, this is all taken care of, and now we get to just like do these other chunks. I mean, I started my first business with, during my lunch breaks and after work and things like that. So it is a lot, but
Yeah. I
part
think
of
what
it.
I learned about myself over the last year of trying to start my own business is that I don't work well when there's no security and there's a ton of ambiguity. So I am trying to shift like the narrative of you failed at this and turn it into more like that working environment was not right for you. So now let's try a different way.
Yeah, I love that. And it is like, I mean, that's just how the brain works. When we're in fight or flight, our prefrontal cortex isn't online and we don't have any creativity. We cannot see other people. We do not have empathy. Like it's hard to market anything when you're offline. So I'm
Exactly.
excited for you.
Yeah.
Yay! So what's been coming up in the love department?
Uh,
What got?
Not great. So I think I had told you like I originally wanted to join Alchemy of Love because I was like very excited about this new relationship with a guy that I've known for like over 7 years. His excuse, actually, I'll say my excuse too, over the past 7 years was like it was never the right timing.
Yeah.
So the final straw for me was he kind of pulled that card again recently. He was supposed to come up to visit me in Columbus this past weekend. He's down in Tampa. And we had this weekend planned for like over a month. And I asked him again, like at the beginning of September, like, hey, I want to make sure I can get a babysitter so like we can go out one night and like let's just have a date night. And then it came up to like a couple days before. Never heard from him, haven't heard from him since. And I'm just like,
Oh wow, that's
rude.
yeah.
So I think for me though, like I've done a lot of work on my self-worth over the past year, like especially since my last really traumatic breakup. And one
Hmm.
thing I noticed that was very different this time around is like that feeling of anxiety and control didn't come up. Like if this was me a year ago, I would have been texting him like, "What's your flight number? What time do I need to pick you up?" And now I'm kind of just like, "Okay, I texted you a week before the weekend to ask, are we definitely good for this weekend? Never heard from you. That's
Yeah.
it. Like I'm just going to let you act the way that you're going to act and I can make my decisions based on that."
Yeah. And that's all you can do. Like you can't the texting and the things, it's like trying to convince someone to love you and trying to like go that whole route versus the empowered decision of like that just told me how you feel. Like I don't need to hear the sorry, I don't need to hear the words. It's like your action just showed me, unfortunately, what your level of commitment is. Because men move mountains for a woman they want to be with. They drive, they do these, like they're extraordinary when they actually want something. And so it's just looking, which is unfortunate, right? Like that's a really hard thing knowing that about men and then not getting receiving that. And so
Mhm.
I commend you and probably your very tender heart at this moment and all of that kind of stuff. What's come up since then?
Um, Probably an unhealthy pattern of throwing myself into work. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm very excited about this new opportunity in corporate, but now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, should I start a podcast? Should I start a YouTube channel? And like, just really trying to distract. So like any advice on just not letting that consume me and actually process and work through this?
Yeah. And so that's those moments of intentionally not filling your calendar just because you want to avoid pain.
Yeah.
It's what we do. And like honestly, every time I make the running joke, every time I go through a breakup, I get richer. But it's those types of things where it's like, yes, I do. And at the same time, how can like you create space to intentionally feel it? What does that
Mhm.
look like? What is that space that you need to do? Is that, you make sure you stop work at 5 p.m. so you can feel a little bit of it and like not
Mm.
even get stuck in it. It doesn't like go out with your girls, take your daughter, like go be in your life versus like, oh, I need to process this all the time. And like, that's why we
Mhm.
avoid it. It's like, oh, I have to go sit in the pain. And it's like,
Mhm.
not necessarily. Like, yes, process, don't avoid, but like also remember who you were before that pain ever entered. Go play, go out with your girls, go play with your kid, like go on a walk, like make sure you're filling your life with joy because that also interrupts sadness. We forget that we let sadness interrupt joy all the freaking time that we forget, wait, joy can interrupt my sadness too. Can I go play? Can you keep opening your heart? And
Mhm.
that's where those love identity daily vitamin will be really helpful because it's sitting there being like, can you feel your love? At the end of the day, love is a feeling, right? We put a lot
Mhm.
of weight on it, but love is something right now. If you think of your kid, like you can turn that on and they're
Yeah.
not even present.
Mhm.
It's the gift of the heart. We can genuinely have love for it. So how many spaces can you start to fill with love and starting to really, really enter that into your life?
Mhm. I think I am definitely holding myself back because my goal is to be out of Ohio by next summer. So I have been so cautious about making friends even. And like I tried dating when I first moved here and it went terribly. But then also that on top of I know I'm not going to stay here forever. I was just, okay, I'm going to close the door on that for now and really not focus on dating.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that not a great mindset though? Because like I could meet someone who's willing to
Yeah.
relocate.
Like you never know if we close our, it depends what you're doing in the close off season. Like when I was in Dallas, I did all my prep season for meeting my person. I
Mm,
took 4 months. I did not date. I focused on building the back end of my business so that I knew when I met and I moved to Florida now, I'd have, time freedom to go make friends. I'd have time freedom to go to networking events and I'd have time freedom to date. So I took those 4 months very intentionally, not just like avoidance and numbing out. Like I didn't watch TV. I didn't do anything. I had my two core best friends and that's all I
mhm,
had. I needed all over
mhm.
distractions because I looked at the long-term thing, but people have different energetic things. If you're feeling the need to like, oh, I don't really want to invest because I don't, what if, and then I'm stuck in Columbus, Ohio. It's like that type of energy can kind of block us. Whereas like
Yeah.
I already knew I was committed to Florida. And I was just like, okay, so how do I best prep myself for that? Like what, like athletes, right? How can I go into training season for this next
Mhm.
season to come and not feel like I'm bored or I'm missing out on something? Like I'm really just going to enjoy my own company and at the same time, really invest in my work so that I
Yeah.
can off. And I think that can also be something, especially with this new job that you're having on top of a side hustle. That's a lot of freaking energy. And it's like,
Yeah.
can you make that while also figuring out how to come home to yourself? Can you really go on that alchemy journey of becoming the best version of you? So when your partner comes, because it's inevitable, it's just like, yeah, I'm freaking ready. Let's go. Like it
Mhm.
does happen that quick. Like that's the thing that's wild.
Yeah. Okay. Funny enough, I just saw today Love is Blind is filming here.
That's
And
funny.
like at least three people have sent me like you should totally like audition for this. So I am half
Uh,
seriously considering sending in like a video audition. But I just thought that was funny too because a lot of people go on obviously for the exposure. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, this would be cool for my if I do a podcast or a YouTube.
I'm like, oh, this is what I do. A lot of people do it.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. What I wrote down is like I need to really create a healthy work-life balance. I love the idea of 5 o'clock, whether it's I'm leaving the office or I'm working from home and just shutting my laptop, like really holding myself accountable to that. Um, one thing that came to mind is just getting my daughter back into after school activities. So that's my excuse to shut down at 5 and bring her to gymnastics.
Yeah,
Um,
love that.
okay. And then what was the daily vitamin you mentioned? Failure
Love,
love?
true love identity.
Okay. True love identity. Um, one thing I have noticed since, I mean, I'll admit, like, I'm disappointed that this relationship didn't pan out the way that I saw it. It's really affecting my sleeping patterns, and I think it is, like you said, because I'm just avoiding, and then, like, the only time I'm really slowing down is when I'm trying to
Yep.
sleep. So,
Yeah, that's usually, I mean, that's also a high performer brain. And so I'm like, yeah, so you have to put brain break moments throughout your day. Like that's why my calls are only 50 minutes. So I have 10 minutes after my calls to just be like literally be a potato. And I don't mean
mhm,
distracted TV. I don't mean scroll your phone. Like I don't do any of that stuff. I don't watch TV. I literally don't scroll social media. So it's just sitting there being like, can you allow yourself to be bored? To
yeah,
feel the disappointment, to feel the shame, to feel the things that we feel when we go through things like this, even if it wasn't like this like whole thing, it's just like it's sad because you have to grieve the future that is no longer going to be. That's the hardest part about breakups, right? It's just like,
yeah,
I have this whole vision. It's not that. Like, and just kind of grieving that and figuring out, okay, what is the next vision? And then
mhm,
working backwards of like, okay, here's the next vision. What's the steps backwards to the you find out what is that one step you take today? What's the one step you take tomorrow and start to propel that forward.
yeah. Okay, makes sense. Um, that was my update.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you can use the calm time for however long you want if there's anything you want to cover or anything that's coming fresh.
I think, the only other thing that has been top of mind for me is, like, this kind of was just another reminder of, like, not that a relationship is a distraction, but it did come in unexpectedly when I was very, very much focused on, I'm going back to corporate. What does corporate Katie look like? And, like, trying to build that identity. So, like, any advice on, I feel like I'm at a glass ceiling essentially, and just like pushing myself over that to continue to be a high performer, but now in different arenas. Like now I'm back to corporate. Now I want to also continue to build my coaching business. Like, how do you blast through that glass ceiling?
Yeah. So the glass ceiling being how I balance between all of the things or
Like,
how.
I feel very uncomfortable right now because I feel like I'm in a period of growth,
Mhm.
and I am going back and forth between self-sabotage and really just living in this discomfort, I guess.
Okay. When you step into self-sabotage, it's always sitting there going, why? Like, what is
Mhm,
this feeling? And often it's the avoidance of pain. And so it's figuring out how, again, going back to how can you feel the pain? Because then you don't feel like I don't necessarily feel the need to self-sabotage anymore. Sometimes in my relationship, I'll like pick a fight or do something, and then I'll be like, sorry, I'm a little crazy. What's up? I'm in Ludio. Like, just kind of playing in that route. But like, when it comes to the next expansion, it's like, are you procrastinating? Eliminate it. Are you doing it? Like, figure out what that self-sabotaging technique is and put a buffer in place. Don't just like remove
mhm,
it. Like when you want to scroll, it's like, could you actually just go for a walk or like tune into one of your mentors and listen to a
mhm,
podcast or join a like a daily riff channel or like something like that with them? Is there something you can add in place with what the tendency is? A lot of us will scroll, a lot of us will watch TV, a lot of us will just we don't have time. All of a sudden, like you're actually spending 80 hours fucking looking at TikToks. Like
yeah,
you have plenty of fucking time. Like you telling me like, oh, I have to do my side hustle in my business. I'm like, so like so does majority of people that are running businesses. They just don't fucking talk about it. Like I was
mhm,
driving DoorDash, donating Plaza, doing all the things. I was a teacher on top of when I started my first business. Like we all did at some point, just no one, it's not glamorous. So we don't put it on social media, but it's like you figure out a way because you have a passion project. And so it's looking at one, what is your distraction and figuring out like what is a healthy alternative that actually propels you
mhm,
to your growth. And then alternatively, why like really looking at why do you want to do these things, right? Like
mhm,
I know the type of wife I want to be, I know the type of mother I want to be, and I know the type of impact I want to have. So my why is far greater than my excuses. Like
mm,
I have weak moments. I canceled like I'm like I don't want to fucking do this. I didn't want to post on social media today. I wanted to like today I'm going through some like life things and I'm just like I don't fucking want to do anything. And it's just like
mhm,
okay, so what is the three non-negotiables? And then how to
mm,
crush it. What things can I put like how simple can I make it? But in those three non-negotiables, can I crush those three non-negotiables today? Yes. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna go on a walk. I'm gonna enjoy
mhm,
myself. Go do the things. I'm gonna give myself a reward. Like that is something we have to look at. Like something that's really helped me, and I know I'm going in so many different directions, but there's so many ways to have this conversation. Something that's really helped me is looking at who I was as a student when I was a
Mm,
kid. I didn't want to do my homework. If you tell me I
mhm,
just do homework, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if I fail or not. Like, it's just not like, if someone would have guessed in my childhood that I would be where I'm at now, they would have laughed at you because I didn't care about anything except getting high. Like, I was just like, boys and weed, whatever. Like, it was just not a thing that I cared about. I didn't care about college. I didn't care about whatever. But like, when someone gave me a reward where it was like, you can do this and you get a reward. So that's how I treat
mm,
myself now, where it's like, oh, what's my reward? Oh, you get ice cream. Oh, you get to go on a walk. Oh, you get to go hang with your man. Oh, you get like, I just looked at what was my childhood reward system like? Like, how did I actually get
mm.
things done knowing how much of a shitbag I was? I got a reward. Like I
Yeah,
did something and it felt good while I did it. So I worked that in again to make me feel that sense of, oh, this is worth it.
I love that. I think I have such a tendency to overcomplicate things, and I
Yeah.
think it's like I'm a Virgo rising, and, I don't know if you're into, like, human
Yeah.
design,
I love
but
humans.
I had a coach just do my design, and I'm a 1 and a 3.
Okay.
So, like, my tendency is to totally dive into, like, prep. So, like, I'm researching a bunch of podcast platforms and hosting stuff and, like, how do I edit the podcast? And it's like, just do it. Just,
Yeah.
like,
Just avoiding
even
it.
on my phone. So I like, that is how I self-sabotage and, like, even with social media, and I know, like, in hindsight, this is why my consulting business was not a huge success, was I was so scared to put myself out there because I kept comparing myself to the people who were 100
Mm.
steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
So how do you stay in your own lane and not let that comparison delay you?
So I think that really shifted my mindset around all of this, even people in marriage, right? I do this in marriage where I see all my friends that are happily married and in these beautiful relationships for the last 7 to 10 years. And I'm like, why is my relationship so fucking complicated? And theirs is like this. And they're like, one of my best friends, she goes, I had him with a baseball bat when we were psycho when we were like, it takes time in building. And I'm like, I have to stop comparing my end game to their beginning. And so I had to
Yeah.
ask better questions. And so with my
Mhm.
mentors, I'm not looking at, oh, you're making 100K months now. And then I'm sitting here being like, why am I not making 100K months? I'm like, no, wait, I've only been doing this little chicken nugget baby. You've been doing it for 9 fucking years. Okay,
Yeah.
who were you when you were me? And so that's a conversation I have with my mentor a lot is like, what did you do when you were scaling to 30K months? Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Let's compare to that. What were you doing when you were scaling to 5K months? Like, look at that. And I say
Mhm.
this a lot in my trainings. I don't know if you've ever watched like Boulder Branding or things like that. Is like, I tell you guys this in my trainings where I'm like, don't compare, don't do what I'm doing right now. I have
Yeah.
trainings, what I did at the beginning. That's what Boulder
Mhm.
Branding was, where I was like, that's what I did. That's what my entire academy is around marketing, where I'm like, this is what I did. This isn't
Mhm.
necessarily what I do right now. I just get better at it now. But like,
Mhm.
these are the things I did. It doesn't take me that much time anymore. Like, I'm not sitting here fucking like doing all the things I'm telling you, but I did do that for a very
Yeah.
long time. And a lot of people, because they see where I'm at now, where it's like, oh, I could pump out content between my 250 call and this one. Like, oh, I did in 10 minutes. I created these sides. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I've been doing this for 6 years. Like,
Yeah.
of course we can. I did all the things that I teach you in Boulder Branding, where I'm like, where I sat down and I looked at all the psychology and I banged my head up against a fucking wall. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure
Mhm.
out, and it's knowing that, because now that I'm at the tables with multi 6, 8-figure business owners and like in those masterminds, the only difference between me and them now is they're better at the skills than I am.
Yeah.
Right? That's all it is. But their mindset, the thing that really gets you there is just like, how big is your tenacity? Like, that's the
Mhm.
thing that you need. And knowing at the beginning stage, it sucks. That's why people don't
Mhm.
make it. That's why people give up, because the beginning stages suck. Where I'm at now, this is great. It's fucking great. Like, I know what to do. I know how to do it. There's no resistance. Like, I get it. But that's 6 years of building and failing. And like, I literally posted that reel yesterday of just like, I just took off this year. I'm
Mhm.
not the overnight successes. It's all of these like things that happened. And it's just really looking at like relatability with your mentors, and then ask better questions to people. Just like with my friends, if
Yeah.
I'm sitting being like, oh my God, you have such a happy marriage. Like, why am I so many fights with my partner and doing the things? And they're like, no, we used to fucking kill each other. Like, that's how it started. Like, that's the whole thing. And the more I ask about better relationships and people that I admire, they all say that. Like they're like,
Yeah.
no, like it was, we were touch and go for like 2 years. Like it was that type of thing. And I'm like, huh. So you mean this 10-year happy marriage where you guys are like happy go lucky, in love with each other? Oh, so I should stop comparing myself to that and start asking better questions about, okay, so how did you get past the touch and go? What
Yeah.
conversations, what did you learn from that that you would never do again? So I can collapse time in that and get to the 10 years in one. What does that look
Mhm.
like? Just kind of sitting in that stance of like, have the beginner mindset with the authority behind it, where it's like, I want
Yeah.
to collapse time in this. So how did you get there? And what mistakes did you learn? And how would you redo it in order to,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. So then in that same vein, if you put yourself in my shoes, which is like I'm super beginner baby business, really, I'll say self-conscious with putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were ever in those shoes where you were questioning like what value do I actually bring and like who's going to want to pay me for this? Like how did you get over that?
Yeah, I went live for 365 days.
Okay. That just gave me
One of,
like
I know one of my clients in Boulder Branding is doing this right now. I don't know if you've checked out Boulder Branding, but I would say go into that program if you want, or that membership if you want. Right now, I have, I think, one more space open at the 555 a month price, or then it's going to go up to $1,000. But one of my girls is doing that now because she has such a message, and she's a like nutrition coach for like thick women, thick
Mhm.
Latina women. And I'm like, you gotta get bolder, baby. Like, I'm sorry, if that's your market, have you met Latin women? Like, you need to be loud, like you need to be half naked, you need to be flaunting the fuck that your curves are out there. And I was like, the way I did it, and I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but if you, again, study the top of the top, every single one has gone live for 365 days, because you go live for 365 days and you post 365 times, you will find your voice. It is
Mhm.
inevitable. Like, I look back at those stories and those or those lives, and like I don't even sound like me. I am trying to be my mentor so bad. Like I am using her voice, the way she says things. Like I'm like, ugh, like it's not me, but like I found my confidence in who I am now, because no
Mhm.
matter, even if I forgot that day, even when I was going through my breakups, even when I was sick, even when I had COVID, I would literally go like this and be like, I'm just doing this for accountability. Goodbye. And then I would turn it off. And like that's what I did.
Mhm. I
Find it.
love
And
that. I think a lot of again, very type A Virgo rising. I've been like
yeah,
looking at how do you start a YouTube channel and like all of this like advice from Gary Vee and all these people who've made it big and that's their advice is just put your
just go.
first video out there because no one's going to watch it anyway and
Yeah.
then you stay consistent, find your own voice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Like you
I
don't
think
want a big audience when you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You want a big
yeah.
audience. Like for me, now I don't mind how many hundreds of people I can talk to, right? Like it's fine. I literally am like this, whatever. But I look back at the old version of me, I'm like, I'm happy no one was there except my boyfriend at the time, because I would not want you to hear that. Like, I don't know what I was thinking half the time. Like, it's those types of things, and being able to look at it now where it's like, yes, there could be one person, there could be hundreds. It doesn't change in my nervous system. Now, the next swoop that I'm having is getting back to in person, because when I lived in Thailand, that's all I did. So I could speak in
Mm,
front of hundreds of people. And then Zoom got to be really fucking weird for me. And so now I'm switching because I haven't done in person in a while. And now I'm doing a lot of in person where I'm like, oh, this feels really stretchy for me. Run it, let's go. How many stages can I get on? How many networking events can I get to? How many things can I do? And I'm just like, I want to expand that muscle, so I have to do it more.
mhm. Okay, that makes sense. So just pull the Band-Aid off and keep going.
Find a
Okay.
commitment you want to stick to that feels stretchy.
Mhm. Would you say, and I know this is like way getting very close to probably your bolder branding content, but like, do you recommend going all in on one platform at first?
Yeah, like we're just now going to YouTube.
Mhm.
Like
Okay.
I do Instagram, that's it. I don't consume TikTok, so I don't even know how it fucking runs. We tried it for 30 days. I hated it, so we stopped. And I don't care if I need it. It's just not something I want to do until my team can run it. And I'd rather them focus on Instagram right now. And
Yeah.
so we do that. And now my assistant is doing YouTube and playing around with it to see what happens.
Okay. I love your YouTube. You have a ton of like unlisted videos, and every time I come across one, I'm like, oh, this is like a secret like treasure chest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where it all is.
Awesome. The other thing, and you mentioned this in the last call I was on, was you take like a week off
Yeah.
from these. What are you doing during that week?
Filming shit, hanging out, supporting my man in his business. Like the whole reason I did it is to go with my cycle. Now my cycle switched up, so now it's kind of ass backwards, but it's fine. We'll figure it out. But I got to training in that so that I can be fully present with my wife or with my husband and my kids
Yeah.
when be a fully present wife with my kids in at least a week, you know? Like I'm really starting to structure. I want kids next year. So the more I can start to structure things in that way where it's like I'm trying to nail down my work where I literally am only on calls Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's
Hmm.
it. And even then, I'm starting to switch my calls to just being Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Hmm.
Days are kind of starting to show me that I don't really want to be on calls on Tuesdays, to be honest. Like my energy is
Yeah.
still like, in CEO and like modes. And so just really structuring that. So during my
Hmm.
weeks off, it's like I'm connected with my life. Like my life is that's where everything comes from. A lot of the time it's
Yeah.
me working in my relationship and like supporting my man business and things like that.
It's such a good reminder to create a business that like supports your life and not 100% dedicate myself to my
Yeah.
clients in the
Yeah.
nicest way possible.
Yeah.
Say that.
And in the beginning, it is like you do have to kind of have that there, but like I gave up everything, you know,
Yeah.
in order to build it. I just knew long term this is what I was going to do. So that's a far out thing to look at, but it is just like having that on that horizon. Hi Tara,
Okay.
I've missed you. Is there any other questions or anything?
No, I will let Tara have your time because I've gotten a lot of it. So thank you.
Of course. Hi Love Bug, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm actually in Germany for work and just got back from
Really?
dinner.
Did you
So
get
I'm
the
trying to
promotion?
get on the Wi-Fi and hopefully it works.
Oh yay. Are you connected? Let's see. Can you hear me? Let's see. Oh no. I was so excited.
I'll try it without the Wi-Fi.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
Um,
I see you again. How are you?
So, what am I? I'm good. I'm good. I'm celebrating. What am I celebrating today? Going to Germany with my boss and all the bosses and going to dinner with all the boys club and
Yeah.
that was just really interesting.
As it does. As it does. Oh no. I feel like your Wi-Fi keeps going in and out. Boop, boop.
Stupid Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's not working.
I think I'm gonna just turn my camera off because maybe that'll give me some more power.
Oh, some more lag. Yeah, try that. What questions do you have? What's coming fresh? What's been new? Hi.
What questions do I have? I I think just my question is not really a question, just pushing myself to be more seen and showing up and doing the things that make me feel uncomfortable, but definitely getting, leveling up from taking that risk. So it's incredibly uncomfortable for me to fly to Germany by myself and be away from my kids and husband for like a week, but I'm here and I slept 20 minutes last night on the plane.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's like a huge thing where it's like how to be seen in the midst of stretching. Like that's the hardest part because we feel so inadequate in the moment of a stretch season because it's so new. So as you're in that moment of what, you know, I've been calling separation season, everything feels so new. And so you're like, oh, I want to be
Mhm.
seen because I'm stepping into my power, but at the same time, I feel inadequate because I don't actually know what the fuck I'm doing because all this is new. And then dealing with imposter syndrome. And so we're trying to sit in this space of power with imposter versus giving yourself like some compassion of like, of course you feel like an imposter. It's new. But the more reps that you
Mhm.
times that you do it, that's how you start to be seen, where it's just like, okay, now I have a little bit more momentum. I've worked this muscle a little bit more, so I feel a little bit better in being seen as an authority.
Yes. So definitely been trying to like kind of feel my way in like kind of the boys club of like not being called like the bitch, right? Like being knowledgeable and powerful, but not being, you know, called the bitch. I think that's kind of where like walking that line of stepping back and being uh a little submissive but still being powerful, you know, because I think sometimes culturally that doesn't go over well.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you, do you feel like you're handling that well?
I think so. Like I think, you know, I definitely am more comfortable like joining in the conversation and speaking up and asking questions and, you know, contributing ideas where I would typically not say anything and kind of wait for somebody else to go first. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, I'm definitely feeling more comfortable in that. You know, today was day one and, you know, going to a new site where, you know, I don't really know anyone, but I should be, you know, being an authority. So trying to kind of walk that cultural line. But no, I think it feels better than I thought it was. Like I was, you know, on the plane, like psyching myself out and getting nervous. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like I can do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, just not thinking and just doing, I think has helped me.
Yeah. And that's it, where it's like, especially in new situations, it has to be like, I was invited here, they want me here. And like it's
Hmm.
instead of a lot of us get trapped up in this is dating, this is relationship. I want you to like me versus I'm testing if I like you. Like that is
Hmm.
a different power stance of just like I am the authority and I am seeing if I even want like to lead this. I'm seeing what this move like your stance and whatever it is versus sitting being like, I don't want to be a bitch. Like, do you guys like me? Like these types of things. It's like, I'm not a bitch. I'm seeing this is how things are. And I don't really care if you like me or not. I'm seeing if I enjoy the situation that I'm in. And it's just that type of mentality switch that really does give you your power back versus being liked and being seen versus can I see the situation? You know, knowing damn well you are liked, like knowing internally, no matter what, like you're the one that got invited. Like, of course you're liked, of course,
Hmm.
as an authority. And so it's just making sure that you're embodying that with every time we speak and like noticing and reflecting on like, how do you feel at this dinner? Okay, what do you want to do at the next dinner? Like, how, like really assessing these things, like, how do you feel about certain things, like somatically, so that you can show up better the next time versus like, you know, just like, oh, like I want to use my voice a little bit more here. I don't want to use my voice as much here. Like really looking at and assessing current situations so that you can start to orchestrate reality. But yeah, it's just really looking at like, it's not, and it's such a hard thing because we're women and our job is to be liked. Like, do we? If we don't belong, we get killed. Like, it's that type of primal brain that is within us. And so it's being able to sit there and be like, no, I'm not worried about you liking me. I'm seeing if I like you.
Hmm. Yeah, I try to keep reminding myself that, you know, I don't have to prove anything or I don't have to be liked. I just have to do my job and do the best that I can and, you know, try to have fun doing it, like not be so stressed out about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, definitely was not as shaky like as I thought I would be. So
Oh,
yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
it was a good
celebrate.
day.
I love that. Congrats. It's amazing. And you're in Germany. That was the thing you were working towards to like see if you liked it or not, to see if you wanted the promotion and like all that stuff. Like you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, shit, I think I can do this. And like I did have the moment of like tears, like when I knew I had to leave, you know,
Yeah.
yesterday, like, oh, I don't doesn't feel good to leave my kids. And I don't like how that feels. But then I was like, no, wait, I can do this. And then it's been good since. So I think, yeah, I think I can get my me time too at the same time.
Yeah. And growth. Like you are in such a perpetual path of growth, especially this last year. It's like, letting yourself still be Tara and still be a mom and still be a wife. Like you still get to do the things that are going to accelerate your soul's purpose. Like that's an example. Like you think about your girls, like, isn't that the example that you want to set for them? It's like you still get to do all the things. Like your life doesn't just stop because you get married and become a mom. It's like, yes, we can analyze the time and the seasons that we do stuff, but it's like, no, I'm going to go chase my dreams now and still love you guys in the process.
Yes. And then hopefully, make my husband miss me. Be like, what were you doing in Germany?
That's the best.
Nothing.
A bit distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes. So now that's all I have. Just wanting to pop in. I just had no idea what time it was, but I was like, oh, I'm going to pop in.
Yay. I'm so happy for you. And I'm happy that you popped in. I missed ya.
Yeah, me too.
All right, my loves, are there any last questions? Good. All right, cutie patooties. Well, I will see you next Tuesday. Oh, next Tuesday's call. I don't know if it updated on your schedules, but it's 5:30, not 5. I have a call, interviews and things. So it's going to be switched, not 5, 5:30.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.